Good evening. Good evening and welcome. Good evening and welcome. We've got a funny light here for some reason. Let's try and sort it out, shall we? That's not right, is it? There you go, Chris Upton in the house. What the hell is Tracy Dodds doing on here? Who the bloody hell is Tracy Dodds? How did she get here? Hey, Karen, first in the house. Good evening. My hair is going curly, isn't it? Jeff Harroway in the house. Good evening. Graham Allison, Abigail French, Gary Marriott, Michael McLaughlin, Frank Casey, Julian Lees, and Tracy Dodds is there. This must be. I'm gullible. Glutton for punishment, I would say. Mitch Stokes and Tim Weston. More Music 100. Hi, guys. More music. So there we go. I'm running solo tonight. Solo. I'm probably need a boost in. My darling wife isn't here to help me this evening, so you're going to have to help me. Tracy been doing well. Tracy been doing well. You have not seen what pressure she's put me under. The pressure that woman's put me under is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, she is. She is doing very well, and it's nice to see somebody of a good standard who still wants to improve, and that's the important thing, isn't it? That's the important thing. So, what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, if you've got any questions, you need to fire away, because you know me, I may just go off on a tangent and you just might wonder what the hell he's talking about. You must wonder what he's talking about. That's what we were saying. So anyway, yeah, Michael McLaughlin, you're right. There's no Sue to control this. Could get very, very interesting. Technically, I could go completely off target tonight, couldn't I? What should we talk about? Embarrassing bodies. Did you watch it last night? Oh, no, don't go there. Let's go over to bloody dog training, shall we? Let's stick to dog training. Okay, let's have a bit of a survey, shall we? Okay, what does that mean when you're dog training? What does that mean? Right? Tommy the Mad Scotsman's in the house as well. Good evening, Tommy. You're getting around lately, Tommy, aren't you? In the house on a Wednesday evening as well. We're personal friends with Talbot Radcliffe. No, I won't. No, sorry, I was not. So that means Peter Piper says that means sit. That means stop. Sit up. Stop. Same sort of thing, isn't it? You want the dog to stop, don't you? So that command there. Stay. Tim Weston says sit means sit. Abigail, great. Hey, I like Abigail. Hey, she knows sit means sit. Yeah. So if you're going to sit your dog up, you could use the verbal cue, or you could use the international code that even police officers use. That means stop, doesn't it? That means, do not run me over. I'm in the middle of the road. And so that's technically means the same thing, doesn't it, in universal language? Okay. So handle, signal, voice, and whistle. There you go, Karen. See, now he's getting technical. Karen, we need to start this off on an easy basis for people, because what I'm about to say is some of you are going to find confusing. So the dog knows what that means if you teach it, doesn't it? If you don't teach it, it doesn't know what it means, does it? So if you're going to push the dog from the sitting position or standing position, so it could just mean stand, it could mean sit, couldn't it? But it actually means stop, doesn't it? You want the dog to stop. Some trainers want the dog to sit, and some trainers quite happy for the dog to stand. Majority of Spaniel Cocker people, they want the dog to sit. Just a standing position is not good enough, because if the dog is going to move, it normally has to get up and then move. And if it's in the sitting position and it goes to fidget, you can be very quick and enforce that with the blast of the whistle, the verbal cue, and the hand signal. So it's international language that most of you understand. Are you with me up to now? This is going to get very, very interesting. Right. So if you want to push the dog, Karen said, I prefer the dog to sit, and if the dog is standing when it takes off, it's one movement rather than two movements from the dog sitting. Exactly. That's the way I teach it. That's the way I teach it. And you can teach a youngster far more steadiness by having its backside on the floor. Yep, so that makes sense, right? Okay, so everyone's with me up to now. We're all in the same agreement. So you now want to push the dog this way or that way. Do you hold your hand up there from that position and push the dog out once you've stopped the dog? So you've stopped the dog's spun round, stopped what it's doing, looked at you. Do you just go a verbal command, or do you use a visual command as well as a verbal command? Visual and verbal. So VV would do. I would use both. That's really good, Karen. I like that. Anybody who can't spell, I would use both. Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to get to. Right, both. Okay. So if you want the dog to go back, and you've got the dog at your side, or you've got your dog out there and you've stopped your dog and you want the dog to go back, what command do you use? Tell me the commands you use. Do you use back? Do you use get out? What command do you use? Away? What command do you use? Go back, right? Go back, back, back. Yeah, so we use back. Most people are using back. Do you teach the elevated or from the ground? No, I'm just trying to answer this question for a minute. We're going to stick to this for a minute. We'll go for anybody's question in a minute. Get out, yeah. Push hand movement, yeah. Go back, and you push, yeah. So that's right. Go back. So most people have got what we call an international code of basics for dog training. You agree? So if you sold your dog that you trained to somebody else, you should be able to give them the commands, or if you haven't given the commands, they should be able to watch you and go, oh, that's all I need to use. So some people would say get out, some people say back, some people might say get on, right? But you would use those hand signals as well as the verbal cues. Get out for all directions, right? So get out for all directions. Nigel Moore has just come in with get out for all directions. I bet you not everybody here uses get out for all directions, do you? I bet you don't all do what Nigel does. Now, you can use whatever you want. You can say sausages to your left, beef burgers to your right, and whatever you want. You can confuse people, or you can trick them. So when you're in a test and someone says get out, your dog doesn't go because you say sausages or you say hot dogs, whatever word you want to use. It's only a trigger word. It's a word, isn't it? So get out for all directions, Nigel says. Right? Some people do and some people don't. So some people say get on, or get out. Right? Go back. Go back for getting out behind, but you don't normally go back if you're going left or right, do you? I use a magic collar I bought off Chris. I just tap and then the dog goes right. There you go. Get out is different than back. Yep, get out is different than back. Right. So how many of you use go left, go right? How many of you use go left, go right to your dog? Okay. Anybody? We've got 30 people in here. Anybody actually you say to your dog, go left, go right? Oh my God, Tracy Dodds. Tracy Dodds, what are you covered? So Frank Casey says out when he wants to go left or right. I don't use hand signals for directions. Oh no. I use get out for left and right. Hand signal tells the dog which direction. Right. So I've never found it a problem handling a dog with limited commands. I have seen people using go left, go right. Right. Have you ever heard anybody or watched anybody say, I lost for left or right? Eh? Have you ever heard anybody say, I lost for left? Right. So do you think if people are using so many different commands for directional work and they're teaching it to people and you'll go into different trainers, do you think that it could become so confusing for you and your dog if you keep changing the commands to try and improve something that was years and years ago? Everybody used the same language, the same verbal language when training a dog. There was that universal language. Less commands is more. Right. So one word. See? So it's very confusing, isn't it? Keep it simple is best. If you go and watch 10 trainers that you like and they seem to have success and they have proved it, aren't you going to get totally confused if every one of those trainers uses completely different commands for the dog? That's the question. Because I'm going to show you some videos, the people in the group, and I'm going to explain to you, because I think Nigel said he found some of the videos we put up in the last 2 days very interesting. And could we not do a talk about it? Could we not do a sit down where that people can ask questions? Well, that's what this is, isn't it? Sue's not here. I just want to talk about sex. You know me, but I'm trying to behave myself in case she's listening in the background. She'll be go, oh my God, I should have been there. I should have been there. I should have controlled him. Every 30 seconds, men think about sex. She thinks all men are like me. Hey. So here we go. Craig Thompson, don't the commands vary slightly between labs and spaniel trainers? Right. Totally agree it can, but you can train a lab and a spaniel exactly the same. Now, let's just say, for instance, what Craig's just said. Don't the commands vary slightly? If you change your commands and you're training Labradors and you're training Spaniels, you're going to get confused yourself if you don't stick to one format of what you find easy to work. Because if 1 minute you're going back, 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 and the next minute you're going get out, get out, get out, that's two verbal cues that you only need one of them, don't you? You only need one verbal cue. But the dog responds a lot on movement. Now, you could argue, this is the argument or the discussion, you could say, yeah, but what about when the dog is out of sight and working out of sight and you shout, go left, go right? Well, how do you know where the dog is to tell it to go left and go right if it's working out of sight? Right? But if you have got a dog running through thick cover, updale and downdale, as they say, and you've taught the word back or get out, right? And you use one of those words, then that's going to help the dog. If the dog can't see you, there's no point in blowing the stop whistle and trying to handle the dog. It's time to trust the dog, but you're still giving guidance because you're pushing the dog back out of sight where he's not with you. You're building confidence. Dog out of sight will work on its own instinct. Very careful here, Michael. Michael, that's a subject that we're going straight on to next. There had to be someone who had to ruin it, didn't they? I see Pierre's in the house. Geez, what good evening, Pierre. Nice to see you around. Hope you're all right. So Michael's right, in my opinion. Dogs out of sight will work on their own instinct. But the problem is, with the Labrador world, if you're training Labradors, you don't want them thinking, hang on, wait for it, if you're running them in competition. If you're a shooting man, like Michael is, you are going to want them to think, but you still want them to listen and understand what you're asking them to do. So if I've sent a dog a long distance and it's had to go into a gully, through cover, out the other side and carry on going, I'm going to help that dog, even if I can't see it, by going, get out or back. I'm going to use the command that I want to use for that dog. Now, it's the same if I say sit to a dog. I say sit up to all dogs because some people say up and some people say sit. So I come to the conclusion a long, long time ago, if I say to a dog, sit up, and use the word sit up, you can break that down once you've had the dog back to you after I've trained it. And if you say sit, it will sit. If you say up, it will sit. Because years ago, a lot of people used to use the word up in competition, but pet people used to say sit. And then people say, what does up mean? Why did you use up? Well, it's just a short abbreviation. Sit up, up. So I've always used sit up. That's the reason that I've used it. But I can't be going, go left, get on, I lost. I can't be using all three just to teach the dog the same command. So it's important that when I'm training, I get eye contact at the right time when I blow that stop whistle. When I blow that stop whistle, I want that dog to turn around, look at me, and go in the direction I ask it to. If it's looking in the direction it thinks the thing is, I'm up shit creek without a paddle because I can't get the dog's attention unless I shout at it. And I don't want to be shouting at the dog all the time, making it apprehensive, making it nervous. But I totally understand that shouting at the dog at the right time and teaching the dog that shouting doesn't mean you're going to get beat up. It doesn't mean I'm going to run at you and punish you to such a way that you're going to never ever want to not listen to me. So you better listen to me when I shout at you. But dogs have got to learn to cope with pressure the same as humans. Who went to school and got shouted at by a teacher? How many kids in the school did you see start crying when the teacher shouted at them? I bet you the majority of kids these days would have a tantrum and say, I'm going to tell my mum and dad you shouted at me. Today, compared to our day, you wouldn't dare do that because if you did, you went home and said, teacher shouted at me today, and I started crying. My dad would slap me across the head and say, don't be a big baby. I don't know about you lot. You tell me. So it's important that dog can cope with pressure. It's important the dog can know when you're in a happy mood and you're not in a happy mood. So the dog is visually picking up so much, and yet the reason I'm giving us these questions, double clip teacher and parent. Yeah, exactly. That's what you get. You go home, you complain about your teacher, you get another whack, don't you? My teacher, give me a whack, have another one. There you go. These days, parents who go up to school and go, what you said to my kid? My kid is very sensitive. Let my kid express itself, right? You want the kid to express itself, and I like a dog to express itself. It shows me so much more about the dog. It's really important. But but what I'm saying is, if you're going to train to a very high level, there's very fine margins that you can afford to get wrong if you want to beat people on a regular basis. You've got to have that polish and that confidence in that dog. So when you send that dog out for a retrieve, it mustn't hesitate in any way. If it starts to hesitate, you're creating confusion. And if you're going 1 minute, blow the stop whistle, get out or get on, right? Whatever commands you're using, and we all use slightly different, very slightly, you're going to create confusion. But then if you then take in somebody's dog that someone's spent, I don't know, a year with, 15 months, messed up, now you've got to retrain it, all the commands, because someone else put different commands into that dog. That's going to take you twice as long. I was told you must have deserved it. I enjoyed it, Peter Piper. I actually enjoyed it. There was something erotic about a woman teacher bending me over a knee and wanting to give me one. Can I say that on here? No, they didn't used to do that. I've got to be honest, I missed out on that. I never had that. It was always male teachers that wanted to give me a belt in. Female teachers would pass it on to a male teacher. Pervs. Bloody pervs. Anyway, I nearly knocked the wine over then because of Peter Piper laughing. I nearly knocked the wine. It's still rock. It's still rock and rolling. This Chianti, it's still rock and rolling. So anyway, so some of you know that Tracy Dodds has been here training, right? Because you've seen some of the videos. There's so much more to go up. It's unbelievable. It's some lovely stuff. I've had a lovely 3 days with Tracy. It's been enjoyable. It's been refreshing because it takes me to the next level up of teaching. And that's what we need in the group for people who want to go to the next level. We need people of a better standard. And one thing you need to do if you want to improve, you don't need to train with people of the same standard as you. You need to train with people of a higher standard. And that's not being big-headed. The more you train with people who've achieved success and got years and years in under their belt, the more you're going to understand and have a better concept of, because you're going to move up with the standard. You can get a dog to a good standard. It doesn't mean you have to run in competition to become a good dog trainer. I've already said that. But it's an added bonus if you've been there, seen it, and done it. And so for the group, it's important. And I would have loved to sit down with Tracy and have a one-to-one, not a one-to-one, what do you call it? A therapy session on the couch. How about that? A therapy session where she could spill a little soul and tell everybody what she likes about me and what she doesn't like about Fat Boy. I think he missed the comment. Oh, in a field, less verbal or whistle is better, or birds are long gone. Exactly, Michael. And if you're screaming and shouting, "What are you doing?" to your dog and you're out shooting with someone, I wouldn't go with them, would you? Art to art. That's it. Art to art, Steve. No, not art to art. A nice open debate between Tracy and Chris for the group, not for the World Wide Web, just for the group. So she could ask the questions, and she could give the insight, and we could be talking about the subject of what she wants to achieve. And that's the whole point, isn't it? Because a lot of people in our group have got no ambition to really run in competition. They might want to have a crack at it, but they're shooting men first, and shooting is what they really love doing. And if you lined up a trial person, not obsessive trial person, but a very keen trial person, and you lined up an ordinary, very keen shooting man, they want completely different things. So is that right? Or should a well-trained gun dog do both? So miss your one-to-ones on YouTube, says Paul Crockett. Yeah. Do you know what, Paul? I've done that many videos over the years. I don't know whether people do miss them or not miss them. The Chris Upton interview by Tracy Dodds. Yes, she could ask me the questions, couldn't she? Eh? What's your thought on different whistle commands for all the dogs movement? E.g. like sheepdog. Julian Watson. What's your thoughts on different whistle commands for all the dogs' movements? E.g. like sheepdogs in the sheepdog world. I'm not into, to be honest with you, Julian, I'm not really in, Julian Watson, I'm not really into the sheepdogs anymore. I used to be, but not anymore. And I try to stick to the gun dogs because it's the same as saying, okay, let's teach the dog to retrieve. Let's play rag with it, shall we? Should we just play rag with it? Well, if it's a last resort just to get a dog wanting to carry something, you might do that, but it's one of the last things you do for gun dogs. So let's stick to a subject that most people are on here for gun dogs, could we? Instead of sheep dog commands, because some sheepdog handlers can whistle without a whistle. Some use one certain whistle, some use a certain other whistle, and the outrun can be different. And it depends if you're Welsh and what you're saying to them in Welsh. It's the same as that will vary slightly from different areas that people come from, isn't it? What they'll use. I use different whistle commands. I use 2 pips for a turn. I have unt commands. That means put your head down, and there's fine and the stop whistle. Yes, I think simplicity is the key. Simplicity is the key in my mind. But I totally understand, and me and Tracy have been watching some Labrador videos, and I've been giving my input into the Labrador videos of somebody who've been, and their parents have been very, very successful. It doesn't mean that I'm rubbishing them, but I'm entitled to my opinion. And my opinion is what I have learned over the years and what I have gained knowledge with. But that doesn't mean that I'm right. And that's why I put up that thing. You can argue with me, but you can't change my opinion if I don't want it changed. But I'm open for debate. And I watch everything as much as possible. And so I sat down and watched videos of people who you might not think, why is he watching that? But they're dog trainers. I watch all aspects, looking for little bits of perfection, little gems of wisdom, and I like to pass it on. We don't use whistle commands or left or right in the Gundog world, don't you? You don't, do you? We don't use whistle commands for left and right. You're not, Julian Watson. Where are you from, please? Where are you from? We don't use whistle commands for left or right in the Gundog world. They do have loads of commands for sheepdogs. Well, Julian Lee's not Julian Watson. Come on, help me out here. I wish Sue was here. Oh, I miss that girl. I miss that girl so much. I tried to get Tracy here. I tried to get Tracy here live. I wanted Tracy sitting in Sue's seat. It would be like, no, I won't say it. I won't say it. I was going to say a horror film. There was a horror film, The Bates Motel, in it, where his mother died, and he had somebody else upstairs, didn't they? I won't mention. No, that was how many, Julian? No, what's this now? Julian what? Julian Lees or Julian Watson? Can we answer this question? We don't use whistle commands for left or right in the Gundog world. Don't you? Right. There you go. How about that? Too many to mention. Oh, here we go. Look, I agree with it. I don't use whistles for left or right. So that's exactly what I'm waiting for. So if a whistle command is not used, would you use go left, go right? So the dog knows what's left and what's right. Would you use it? If you're not using it. So if you want to use a turn whistle, would you not sometimes use a turn whistle and push your hand across to send the dog to the left or to the right? So you're sending the dog on movement. Charlie Tango 1's in the house. If anybody's got any leather goods they want sorting out, I just use get out with a hand signal in direction I want to send the dog. Right. So if your dog's working out of sight and you use get out to push the dog back, and you use get out to push the dog to the left and get out to push the dog to the right, do you not think that could create confusion? Do you not think that could create confusion? Right? Do you think you could simplify it by get on to go left or go right? But can you see the benefit of saying go left, go right? Or can you see the benefit? Let's just use this word, for instance. Let's ask this question. Would you use the word I lost to go left? Would you use the word I lost to go left? Or would you use the word I lost to go right? But if I showed you professional trainers using different commands to go left and different commands to go right, do you think that's not confusing? Because how many books have you ever picked up and read and they tell you the commands? That's why I would have loved to have done a sit down with Tracy and talked about the subject of why so many trainers these days are using so many different commands. They used to say, I lost when the dog was in the area, right? That meant you're in the right area. I lost. It means you're in the right area. Hold that area and look for it. Well, if I lost means go left or go right, whatever you want to use, you're confusing the shit out of the judge if the judge thinks I lost means put your head down and start to find it. But over the years, they changed that because so many people were using that when I was in my early days of trialing. And then they started using, and especially Labrador people, and it's gone over to the Spaniel world, they're using the word there. And they use the word no different than I was taking the mickey on one of the videos with Tracy, where the sheep in the background on the moor are going, there. Bang on, Gary. Get out means go away from me in training direction is done with a hand signal. If out of sight, I would trust my dog and training I've put in. Right, there you go then. So what you're saying then, Gary, if you sent your dog down a valley and it goes into a dip and you can't see it and you just want the dog to keep going out the back, you wouldn't say nothing because it's out of sight. You just trust the dog to carry on going until you ask it to stop. Well, I personally would use the get out or go back command when it's out of sight. I can't see it and I want it to come out into the open further back because I've seen it go out. It's taken a straight line. It's gone off visually because it's in a dip. It's going through cover. I want it to carry on and carry on, not go left, not go right. And yet I don't want a regimental dog. Oh my God, Julian Lee's collies, one of the most intelligent training, and how easy it depends on the breeding nature of your dog, etc. Shall we do a collie evening? Julian Lees wants to do a collie evening. Everybody can bring a cauliflower and we can boil it. I thought sheepdogs was just come by and lie down and away. Not quite. No. It depends on basics again, isn't it? People add and add and add and add. So they're beginning to add things into the sport. Hey Charlie, hope you're well. Would you put your number? Will you put up your number? I will give you a call. Many thanks. That's Pierre. So I mean, that's Pierre Charlie Tango 1 who's asking that question. If Charlie doesn't want to put his number up here, then if Charlie sends me the number privately, I'll pass it on to Pierre. That'll just save me looking up Charlie's number. I've got it here, but it just saved me looking it up. If Charlie sends me that in Messenger, I'll pass it on to Pierre. I love watching them. It's fascinating. I love watching all dog training. I love watching all dog. I can share Ray, if okay with you. There you go. They can get that message to each other. See what happens here? It's teamwork in this group, isn't it? It's teamwork. But what I'm saying is the videos we've just done, some of you will watch and think, is Chris being overcritical about what he's talking with Tracy? Now, me and Tracy know what we're talking about because Tracy's in competition and she wants to be successful. And so we're training different than perhaps a shooting man would, because let's look at it this way. How many trial people work their dogs on shoots like we do, who like shooting over our dogs? We train our dogs on shoots to pick up. We train our dogs to go in the beating line, and we put the dogs under the same temptation and pressure as everybody else in the picking up team or everybody else in the beating line. A lot of trial people will literally protect the dog to such an extent. I think it's becoming sad when it's two completely different sports. That the sports should not take different directions completely. Yes, I understand that there is certain amount of, and this is what somebody asked me to talk about. We could talk about trialing and we could talk about testing and running dogs in testing trials. It's not the same as training your dog just to be a gun dog. Now, what is a gun dog? A gun dog is an all-rounder to me. A fully trained gun dog should be able to do it all. You should have a good enough standard to be able to go and enter competition and do well. That doesn't mean that you're going to be top dog every time, because it all depends on how you train. So they've decided that a telephone number is not a problem. So that's Ray's number there, everybody, up on the screen. Anybody who wants leads, dummies, game bags, anything to do with leather, Ray is your man. I don't know how busy he wants to be, but when we share his number in public, he is inundated with kinky requests. He does kinky requests as well. Ask Sue. Ask Sue. She's asked for some funny things over the years from Ray. And Ray, being an ex, Ray's never ever questioned it. He's just made it. He's made whips and chains for me. Oh my God, can we say that, Ray? We'll have people freaking ringing up, not for the dogs, for Sue. For Sue. Highly recommended. You can't buy his qualities from shops. Trust me, I've had all sorts. Yeah, and I bet Ellie has had all sorts as well from Ray making stuff for him. Honestly, there you go. But I've known Ray for a long time, and Ray is a sound as a pound. His work is, well, I would say it's untouchable, as in its quality of his work is such craftsmanship. It's wonderful. It's absolutely fantastic. So Gary Merritt's the same. Look, we all pass on clients to Ray. Why have I stuck with Ray over the years? Because he's a grumpy old bastard, and I like the grumpy old bastard. He says what he feels, but what you get is what you get. And I like that about Charlie Tango 1. He's a grumpy old bastard. He's a great mate. He's a laugh as well. We can have a laugh, and that's the whole point. And that's what happens when you get in with like-minded people. You get in with like-minded people, and you've created a friendship for life. And that's what happens with dog training, isn't it? You get that friendship, you get that bond, and it becomes. He's really an important mate, a member of our group, isn't he? Ray is. He doesn't come on here every day. He's too busy chasing women, and he drinks non-stop. You're going to get me in trouble in a minute, Ray says, Chris Upton. And he's on the beaches. That's what Ray is. He's on the beaches, stopping them coming in on dinghies, or he's mending dinghies. He might be on the beaches mending dinghies. Try and help him to go back. Quality workmanship, always. Pass Ray contact details on. Lovely. Cheers, Chris. So I've been rambling on, haven't I? But there's more to the videos with Tracy. They're deeper because she wants to go into competition. But the reason we're talking about the subject is because it's a nice level to go to for anybody who wants to go into the competition to see what they need. And then they go, hang on, my dog's thinking for itself. The dog worked it out for itself. I like a dog working out for itself. I love a dog working it out for itself. But what happens is you don't want the dog to take over completely. Now, what you've got to do is I've got to show you warts and all. I've got to show you Tracy's dog going really well when it's going really well. I've got to show you when it goes wrong. And Tracy's been decent enough to say, yeah, you put up what you think is worth putting up for the group so the group can learn. That's what this is about, isn't it? This is not about just putting up Tracy's good work, because that wouldn't give you a true insight into why Tracy has come for that extra polish, that extra little bit of tuition. But like I said, it depends who you're training with. And that's it, Karen. God bless Tracy. Exactly, 100%. And not everybody wants to be on camera. I don't want to be on camera. Big fat boy like me, 40 years ago, I would have been no problem with cameras, no problem with looking at myself and thinking, oh, aren't you good looking? Because I knew I was good looking. Now I know I'm a big fat old bloke. And at the end of the day, I don't want to be looking at myself on the screen. And if I look at myself on the screen, I keep thinking, you've got to have a shave. You should have combed your hair. Your eyes are looking tired. All these things, because I'm self-critical and self-conscious. And not everybody who comes here, like I've said to you before, allows the videos to go up. And I know that Tracy is slightly, I wouldn't say shy. She's I'm trying to find a word, and perhaps Tracy could give me that word. Stick to being good behind the camera. There you go. It's called getting old. Yes, David Jones. I bloody know it's getting old. That's the problem, isn't it? But what I'm saying is, some people are self-conscious and they don't like looking at themselves on the camera. And so rather than watching the video and thinking a little self-conscious, I would say, yeah, exactly. A nightmare. Look at this Tracy. See, and then you're thinking, oh, listen to me voice. Listen to me figure. She's lucky, isn't she? She's lucky, isn't she? Imagine you were my size. Honestly. Tracy is humble and modest. Nigel, you bloody smoothie. She wasn't humble and modest running across the moor with the druids this afternoon, half naked. No, she wasn't. Don't say that. If Sue heard that, she'd freaking do my head in, because she'd say, not you, fat boy, as well. Don't worry, Tracy. We got your back. Exactly. But what we do here at Corleone Gundogs, we have a bit of a laugh. We don't want to get over personal. We don't want to be slimy, but we try and have a bit of banter, don't we, with each other. And we got girls in the group, and Tracy's one of the girls one of the ladies who comes into the group. Can you say girls these days before somebody gets offended? They come into the group, they come in the live, they have a laugh, they listen to us rubbish, those blokes talking shite sometimes, and yet they still come in because they find it interesting. And we don't want to lose that. And it's important, I think, that we as a group, we communicate. Thanks, everyone. I really don't like being on camera. Exactly. But that's why I'm saying to you, everybody, that's why in the group, you're highly honored to have Tracy given permission for you to see those videos. And like Tracy said, I've learned from other people's videos, so I feel that I would like to give back. There you go. Steve Pace said it. Look, Tracy is a vital cog in the group, just the same as all the members. We're all different. We all are slightly batty in our own way. Can I say that? I think everybody's got like slightly different ways about them, haven't they? When I say batty, I mean, I've never met someone who's 100% like I think, oh, I wish I was like them. I wish I was 100% like them. But, oh my God, here we go. Look, he's going back to his kinky stuff again. I hope you boys and girls are still using leather on your collars, etc. Come on, you better be doing it, everyone. I sit there and rub mine every night, Ray, when Sue's not home. Stop it. Take a set of nuts to take a set of nuts to be on camera. Utmost respect, and no one judges anyone in our family, and we're in it all together. Exactly. And that's why it's important that we very seldom put stuff up in the big wide world, because there's so many people out there who haven't got a frigging clue, and all they do is internet surf looking to cause crap. Anyway, you're talking about me, Ray. What about your collar? I've had my collar felt. Mad as a box of frogs, Nigel Moore. Yeah. And I like the diversity. I like the diversity of the group. I like the diversity of the standard of the group. I like the diversity of the people in the group. Love watching the videos of Tracy and her dogs. Well done, both. Exactly. And like I say, without people like Tracy who allow those videos, and in depth, we go into it quite deep. And what you must understand is the standard of Tracy's training to an ordinary shooting person would be over the moon with. But what she wants is that extra polish to win competition and enter competition and be successful. And we've all got our goals. Some people want to go down competition. Some people say, I'll have a go at it, but I'm not that bothered. Well, if you get the bug for competition and you start going to competition people and they're training completely different to what another trainer is training, and you go to another trainer and they're training completely different, you're going to get nothing but confusion, total confusion. And so all these groups that are starting up, private groups, Patreon groups, Gundog TV, the apps and all this, if you join all them and they're all training different, how does the average person know what's successful and what's not successful if those people who are putting up the apps have been successful. But it all depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for a well-schooled shooting dog, do you need to be training your dog to the standard of a polished, winning competition dog? Polished, winning competition dog. Not somebody who enters competition or who has entered competition and not been successful, but they call themselves a trialer. Not somebody who shooting comes first and the training comes second for dog training. And we see it all the time. You see it in the field yourself. You see the standard of people's dogs, and you go, and they're professional. And I watched them in the field working their dog. It's useless. It wouldn't work it out and go after a runner because it didn't know what to do, because it didn't know how to come off a straight line. It was shit scared of coming off a straight line. Well, in competition with Labradors particularly, and the problem is, are they going over in the same direction with Spaniels in Spaniel tests? Because it all depends on who's setting up the test on the day, whether it's a successful day or not a successful day. So if you've got a field trial secretary and she's asked a mate to judge it, who's never won nothing, or they've won trials but they've never ran in tests, and there's plenty of people who won trials and never ran in tests, they wouldn't know how to run a test or what standard it should be or what level of complication for the dog and the handler it should be. When you set up a test, you're not looking to try and put every dog out and the last dog standing wins. You're looking for the best dog on the day. And when you're judging a trial, you're not looking to put dogs out to make it easy for yourself. You're looking for the best dog on the day. You're not there to try and dwindle down the group of people who have entered till the end of the day you got one man standing or one woman standing. Look at this. Look, it sounds really kinky, doesn't it? Just imagine you're lying in bed. You're lying in bed and you're listening to this, and someone says, "Put some oil on it, Kieran, so it will soak in, and you can use it in Ailey's hair dryer to soak it in." And Kieran says, "What oil should I use, Ray?" "I have linseed oil." "That's for your cricket bat, Ray." Kieran, "That's for your cricket bat." "I use coconut oil, mate. Coconut oil. I find it's not nasty in the mouth." Come on, I'm waiting for Ray now. Come on, Ray, tell him. "I rub my leather in Neat's foot compact." Oh, bloody David. Honestly, bloody David Jones. Honestly. Rehomed a 3-year-old lab, supposedly used for picking up mad daft to retrieve fantastic drive. Will retrieve 2 dummies, them after, and then won't come within 6 foot. Was sent to a trialing guy for training by. There you go. I boiled linseed oil. Karen, you're up on me on that one. I just get me bat out and I put linseed oil on it. I'm not bloody putting it on my leather. So Charlie Tango, how come coconut oil's no good then? Coconut oil. What about olive oil? My God, I would say shooting dogs see runners more often and they need to use instincts more often than trial dogs. I agree 100%, Michael. I agree 100%. And if you're training spaniels and you shoot something and it goes in the cover, you want the dog to go in there and work it out for itself. And if the dog starts going in cover and working it out for itself, and you're a Labrador man and you're running competition, that gives you this EBGBs because your dog's thinking for itself, and you don't want your dog to do that because the Labrador trials have become straight lines. So many straight lines is the most important thing. So they'll train on a bare field with short grass but cut tracks in it. We've all been there. We've all done it. We've taught dogs to run lines, haven't we? But if you're training your dog all the time on a bare field with lines, then your dog's going to struggle when you put your dog in cover and you ask the dog to go through the cover and you've got to handle the dog, because the dog is not going to be able to see you half the time. Like a shooting man says, it's got to get out there and work it out for itself. Trust your dog. That's what Keith Erlandson used to say to me. I've repeated it so many times over the years. We were arguing coming back down the motorway with a lad from Derby, Colin Pass, about when we were in Scotland shooting, my dogs would go straight to the fall where the shot was and pick the bird. Pick the rabbit, not the bird, the rabbit. It goes straight to the fall because when you shoot birds, the dog watches the direction, watches the bird fall, goes straight to the fall. It doesn't need to take a line at your feet where you flush the rabbit. But a lot of the boys in Yorkshire and a lot of Scotland, the judges up there on a rabbit trial want the dog to take the line from where the rabbit was flushed. So the dog flushes the rabbit runs, they shoot it. They don't want the dog to run straight to the rabbit. They want the dog to take the line, put its nose down, and follow the line where the rabbit ran and keep going and not come off that line till the dog got to the rabbit. And my argument was, and I remember it as clear as day, I want my dog to get to that rabbit as fast as possible, and I don't want to analyze how he got to the rabbit, but my dog will get to the rabbit quicker if it stops on the flush, watches the rabbit away. When I shoot it, it goes to the fall. It goes to where the shot has hit the ground. That then leaves an indication to the dog you're in the right area. And technically, if you shot the rabbit dead, it will go straight to it. If you've wounded the rabbit, it will go to the shot and follow the seat. That's follow the line, not the seat. Follow the line from where the rabbit has dragged itself. And usually there will be fear in that rabbit, blood scent, and there's a lot of other advantages for the dog getting to the fall quicker and then taking the line from the fall if it's wounded game. So there's a big reason why we train different down in Cornwall on birds than you would shortest distance straight line. Yeah, but it varies. So if I was shooting over in Cornwall and then I went to Scotland at a rabbit trial, my dogs wouldn't stand a chance in reality, or very seldom would they stand a chance of winning a rabbit trial that the dog is trained on rabbits and shot over thousands of times on rabbits. It's different from birds and rabbits, exactly. But down here, when I shoot a rabbit, I want the dog to look in the direction of the gun and go in the direction of the gun. There you go. David just said, I want my dog to get to the fall as soon as possible. So do I. But if your dog is trying to follow a line across the field where there's been 40 rabbits, how do you know it's going to take the line the rabbit went? If you shot it a long way out, it could take the line of another rabbit, couldn't it? And then you could be going, get out, get out. I want my dog to lift its head and get to the fall. And that's important. And what Labrador people don't want to do too soon when they're training a Labrador is allow the hunting to take over. And you could say, yeah, but Labradors don't hunt. Spaniels hunt. No, of course Labradors hunt. Labradors have to get them to the fall for the same reason. And then the dog works it out and comes back with a bird. I would want the same as you say, more ethical to if it's a runner. Exactly, Graham. Exactly. I want the wounded game in the bag as soon as possible. I don't want to watch a dog trying to follow a line across the moor. But guess what? It's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful to watch a dog taking a line on a rabbit. And don't get me wrong, I've had it. Once the dog finds a line, they learn with more experience. But a dog that's with not a lot of experience in a rabbit trial up in Yorkshire or Scotland against the top boys, you don't stand a chance if you haven't shot over it on a regular basis. Marking ability, that's what Pierre's just said, marking ability is so important. And that's why we don't say, okay, let's treat train our dogs for everything. We don't want the dogs looking at us for food. We want the dogs looking at us for the command. We want the dogs going in the direction and using their ability. But the reason I pulled away from Labrador trialing years and years and years ago is I did not think it was anything close to resemblance of a proper day's shooting or picking up proper Labrador work that I train dogs for clients. So I've got that experience of seeing it, being in it, and going, that's not for me. The Spaniel work is so much closer to a day's rough shooting. The Spaniel trialing is so much closer to a day's rough shooting. Now, when I say rough shooting, how often do you go in the beating line with a gun and all the dogs are lined up and you push the woods through and everybody's shooting? That doesn't happen very often. But if you're going out with 2 blokes, 3 blokes, 2 of you hunting, 1 of you walking behind, one might be a back gun in case anything gets up, but you're resting the dogs and you're working 1 dog at a time or 2 dogs at a time. That's the closest thing to what I would say reality of a trial with spaniels, whether it's cockers or springers, but spaniels. With Labradors, I don't want what you've been listening to lately, some of you, an Arga dog. I'm not interested in an Arga dog. I think Tracy's Labrador for 2 years old, and that dog is 2 years old. She will say it. I keep saying to her, hang on, she's only 2 years old. You've done brilliantly with her. And you've got to admit on here, anybody who's watched the Tracy videos, do you agree for 2 years old, what you've seen, that dog is fantastic? Come on, let's have that honesty. Anybody who's watched it, and there's a good 10 of you on here out of 32 or 15 of you on here who's in our group, so you know Tracy and her dog. I don't want you to say something just because it's Tracy and she's on here. I want you really good for that age. Exactly, really good for that age. So that sure is, and that's it. And the whole point of it is if that was an Arga dog, that would not impress me at all. If Tracy's dog kept lying down at her feet and wanting to go to sleep because Tracy was a shooting person and she wanted the dog to switch off, I would not be excited about helping Tracy with that dog. I would help her because if you come here, I'd say, okay, I'd like to see a bit more drive in that dog, a bit more enthusiasm in that dog. That dog, why should that dog go to sleep at your feet if it wants to be a good picking up dog or a good working dog? That's not a good working dog. Now, can I show you how to do that? Of course I can. But it's also for courses. It depends what you want. That dog looks fired up. Exactly. And that's what I've always wanted, David, with my spaniels. I like that fired up dog. It's on the edge. Those are the dogs that win if you can control them and keep them on the edge. Now, if I was going to just work that dog non-stop for the field, would it need to be that driven? No. For competition, it needs to excite that judge for the first half hour of the run. If it's an hour, or half hour, I mean, if you get an half-hour run, that's a long run. Yeah, and that's the whole point, everybody, about. There you go. Isn't that wonderful? And I don't think Tracy needs boosting her ego, because she hasn't got the ego. She's not allowed videos to go up and say, look at my dog. But isn't it wonderful that Tracy gets good feedback, honest feedback of what we're trying to show you? And that's the whole point, isn't it? What we're trying to show you is a mixture. If you just want a shooting dog, then we're going to take it in a different direction. If I think the dog is too much of a dog for you, I'm going to suppress it slightly. I'm going to bring the drive down slightly. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to turn it into a couch potato, or I'm not going to turn a couch potato into a trial dog if you don't want it to be a trial dog. As simple as that. It's horses for courses. And it's my job to give the customer what the customer wants. And not everybody's aiming for the same thing. But you get a lot of people going, I don't enter competition to win it. I don't enter competition to win. And each to their own. Hard work pays off. Yes, it does, Pierre. And Pierre was a fine example of that, wasn't he? In your pocket. If you're a trialer, what should you be doing on shoot days? Avoiding beating, only pick up, but don't allow sweeping up at the end of the year. But yeah, exactly. We could go into that in your pocket big time. We could go into what the professionals do, what the amateurs do, and what people do with no idea, because it varies so much. And if you go to one of them trainers who's only got that mindset, the competition side or just the shooting side, or a little bit of knowledge, you're going to get messed up if they're not open and honest with you about what do you want your dog for? What do you want your dog to do? And the one thing I said to you is, I think I said it on here, or I said it on a video I edited earlier. Every dog can go wrong. I've seen field trial champions go wrong. I've seen dogs that have won 5 open stakes go wrong. And the handler have to go out, put the dog on the lead, and go home on the day. All dogs will go wrong. Now, you could say, no, all dogs don't go wrong, not if you suppress them and turn them into Arga dogs. Well, you ain't going to get nowhere in competition if you turn your dog into an Arga dog. If your dog is not watching birds down when they fall out of the sky and they shoot them, and it's not interested in the shot, and it'll curl up and go to sleep because at the end of the drive, it can have a free-for-all, run around and do what it wants. Is that a trained dog? Is that a trained dog? A dog that's called an Arga dog that will fall to sleep at your feet when you're shooting, right? Very educational tonight, Chris. I have to go bollocks. And to you, Frank Casey, and to everybody else out there, Chris Upton is going to lie down in his dark room and get some rest for my next customer tomorrow. My next customer tomorrow is Bob. Bob, everybody knows Bob Dawson. Great chap. Mr. Universe, he's coming here tomorrow. So there'll be more videos. Different commitment. Wants to do different things. How I approach them will be completely different to where I approached it with Tracy. That's why it's really important. Bob the Builder. Stop it, David Jones. Nice talking to you all. Chris Upton signing off. I'm sorry Susie Two Shoes isn't here tonight. What's that? How does that song go? Lonely. No, you've all kept me going, haven't you? I hope I've not been too rude. If you're on a shoot and you're getting paid, then you need to do what is necessary and keep the shoot running efficiently as possible. So the dog needs to be able to do the lot. Exactly. Good night, all. Chris Upton signing off. Well said. Steve Pace. Oh, he's one of our trainers. See, this is the thing, and they know, don't they? Good night, all.